A very good evening and a warm welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. We are coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, the NTV Uganda studios. And tonight we are speaking to Charlotte Kangume, who is joining us to share her difficult journey. Charlotte, when I think about your life and how far you've come in the last couple of years, I don't know what other word to use except difficult. Yeah. Our first engagement was, I think, about 2 years ago. When we had a short interview during a news segment. So Charlotte is really here to share her life journey from the last couple of years, one extreme event after the other, and how she's been able to cope as an individual, of course, with a bit of support. Charlotte, you're very welcome to the program. It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
How have you been? Have you been keeping? What was it like for you in the last couple of months? The last year was difficult for, so I'm curious to know how you handled.
Well, the last year was difficult for everyone, I think. I worked in a nursery school before COVID. After COVID, we are still in lockdown, so I decided to start a cake business.
So the nursery school, has it been closed down? Or
yes, it's not working. It's been closed down.
They don't plan to open again?
Unless the government says so.
Okay.
Because it's strictly nursery and kindergarten. So yeah.
Cake business.
Cake business.
Tell me about that.
Well, a month before we were closed down in March, I had started buying a few things, thinking of, turning my hobby into a job. And then they closed us down. So I was like, well, this is an opportunity for me to start because school is closed, I have nothing to do. And you need money to keep coming in. So I started a cake business and I've been baking for this whole while since we have been home.
Okay.
Yes.
I think to give the viewers, maybe somebody who doesn't know your story, just to set the pace for what will be the rest of our conversation. Let's start in 2018, January. What happened then? 2018,
January 26th, I was involved in an accident. We were dropping a friend of mine home we're coming from a party. It had been a very long night. We were, of course, intoxicated. So we're dropping her home and then our car gets stuck in a trench in front of their fence. And as they were pulling it out, I got tired in the process of trying to help and stood at the fence. So as they were pulling it out, some guy came to help us. He was from next door. He had just parked his car and he's like, let me help. So he just had to accelerate a little bit. And then I think he overdid it and the car jumped out and crashed me on the fence. But I didn't lose my leg then. I just got internal bleeding. They rushed me to hospital. I was given first aid where they cut behind my knee. And I think that cut is what led to me losing my leg.
So from 26th January, up to what time did you now have to, did they have to cut your leg?
I got an amputation on 6th February 2018. So around 1 week or so. Yeah. So I went through different surgeries, doctors trying to save the leg, and it didn't go well, so they had to amputate.
Okay.
Yes.
What was your recovery like? I mean, they're going to cut off your leg. You've been with the leg for I don't know how many years of your life.
Ages of
and
my
now
life.
You have to come to terms with this sudden change. Yeah.
Well, on my third surgery, the doctors planned to amputate then, but they hadn't informed me. They had informed my mom who had consented. My dad hadn't. He was against it. So somehow they changed their mind. They went in, checked out the leg, and they were like, let's try this again. They closed me up, took me. Then they explained to me how they have to amputate, as soon as possible. And I was like, can't I first see someone who is living life like this, someone who is living life as an amputee who has been through it for a long time, so that I realize so that I know what I have to expect, what I'm going to go into, what I'm going to be living my life as for the remaining part of my life. And they didn't have anyone, but they gave me 48 hours to do my research, ask any questions, and then they would have to amputate. If I refused, they would still have to amputate as them, because it was a matter of life and death. So I tell my friends, you know what, wherever you're moving, look for anyone you see. If they're amputees, please get their contact. I need to talk to them. Sadly, they didn't, because, well, you don't often see amputees around. Most of them are covered up. Most of them are putting on long things. So I did my research online. I saw this gentleman who has no legs and has no arms.
I think I know who you're speaking about.
I think so,
It's
because
quite
it's
popular.
pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had his story, I read about it, I was on YouTube listening to all these different stories. And then there's an Indian lady who also is a motivational speaker, who also got paralyzed. She has been that way for all her life. Those people really pulled me out of my fear of being an amputee. They showed me that I am far better off. I'm only losing one leg. They don't have anything. So I think that was the start of everything for me to calm down, to accept my situation, to talk to the doctors. I asked my doctors everything. Like every day they would come to check on me. I would always have a question for them. So by the time by 6th February, when I was like, you know what, it's okay.
You're ready.
I am ready.
What were you thinking the 48 hours they gave you? What's going through your mind besides doing the research and trying to look for somebody else whose life story could inspire you?
This wasn't like the saddest thing that had happened to my life. Yes, I was worried that I have a lot of things I want to do in life, and now I've lost my leg. How is life going to be? How is everyone going to look at me? How are people going to treat me after losing my leg? I was worried about all those things. But it wasn't like, I am so sad. To me, I was very grateful God has given me life. God has kept me alive. I was very grateful that, yeah, I'm losing the leg, yes, but I can still do something for myself. After doing my research, I realized I can still do a lot more for myself. Though I was scared, yeah. You obviously have to be scared because you've been working on your 2 feet.
Yeah.
And I am still a young girl who has a lot of things she wants to do. And then they tell you have to lose your leg. It's very scary.
So you go in for surgery. You come out without one leg.
Yeah. So I went in for surgery, laughing with the doctors, telling them stories, making jokes. I come out of surgery. You see, when I was going into surgery, I had this hope that God would do like some small thing to change my situation and make things better. I had hope that there would be no need to amputate my leg. So I'm telling the doctors jokes and all, and then we are done with surgery. I come out. I was so pissed. I was having an attitude. I was so irritated by everything, and the only person I wanted to see was my mom. It's like every time they would make a joke, I would look at them like, it's not funny. I want to see my mom. So the doctors realized I was in, I think, aftershock. So they called my mom. She came and was with me in the recovery room before transferring me back to where I was.
What's it been like? What was your recovery journey from then? You've been used to walking on,
On
2 feet, and now you have to make that adjustment and learn so many things.
Yeah.
You have a lot of explanation to do to people who are saying, Charlotte, what happened? What was that like?
It was a very funny, hard, it was a mixed feeling journey. That's what I can say. Because I would wake up one morning and then I forget that I don't have my leg. So I'm standing to get out of bed and then I'm down back again because I stood up thinking I have both legs. And then by the time I remember that, I don't have a leg, I'm already back down. And then...
What was the feeling like without?
You see, when you don't have a leg, some of us get phantom limbs. So you can feel I can even still feel it right now. Yet it's not there. You can still feel your limb. So I would just stand up and forget. And then the time I was like, you know what, let me try and see if I can hang a curtain again. So I stood in a chair, as if my little brother is 8, and I'm hanging the curtain and it's successful. We're happy. We're like, yeah, we put it there. And then I forget, I fell off down. And every time I would fall, everyone in the house would first freeze because the pain would be a lot since I was still healing. So they would all first freeze, and then they would have to call a doctor to come and give me a painkiller before they can carry me from where I was. So really, learning to walk again was so hard, was so hard. Learning to walk on stairs, learning to walk on ramps was really complicated. But we thank God I got there, because that was the first step. And then you have to get, when you get a prosthetic, that's another stage of learning how to walk. You're like a little baby starting to walk, and there are a lot of techniques you have to get in your head and all.
So you use a prosthetic? I thought you used the crutches.
No, I use a prosthetic now since last year.
Okay.
Thank God. It's been a lot more helpful. It has normalized my life a bit more than the crutches. Yes.
Okay. Charlotte, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to speak about your life before the amputation. I know that there's a story there as well. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, NTV Uganda Studios. And we're speaking to Charlotte Kangume, and Charlotte is explaining to me how sometimes she wants to scratch. You feel there's a leg.
Yes.
I really don't understand that.
I feel like there's a leg. Like right now I feel my leg is there. It's paralyzed. It's like this. But not everyone gets it. Some people don't, but the majority of people feel it. They get phantom limb, which is because the mind has not yet processed that you don't have a leg. So any feeling it sends in this other leg, it also comes to this other leg.
Do you still have pain?
No, I only get phantom pain in the leg that is not there.
Okay. So before the accident, you had quite an active lifestyle, if I may say so, and a lot of other things had happened before that time. Do you want to take us to 2017?
Yes. You know, as you know, when you're living life, definitely you go out a bit, you drink a little bit. So 2017 November, thieves broke into our house because our maid had plotted with them that I always have money. I work in the accounts office in the school as well as an administrator.
So you were living on your own, not with your parents?
I was living with my parents.
Oh, okay.
But in the house we have 4 people. Different rooms, and mine was a bit farther from the rest. So when they broke in, they entered my room. They knew my room where it was directly. But then we later found out that they didn't break in the house. We found out that the maid had let them in when we weren't home. So when we went to sleep, it was a normal evening for us. We ate, we talked, we closed the door, and then at around 1, 2, I hear people opening my door. So I'm like, it must be John. And John is my brother. He's that caring brother that always checks up on everyone. Are you okay? So I thought it was him. So I'm like, John, what's up? Why are you coming here? And he's like, and then I realized he's not talking. So I look, and then I see 2 guys standing at my door. One was in front, the other one was behind. You could see the head behind. So when they enter, they're like, keep quiet. This guy had a knife. So he's like, keep quiet. And I'm like, so scared. The thing with me, when I'm in fear, I freeze. I do not know what to do. My whole body, my mind freezes. And they're like, give us the money. And I'm like, what money? Because our maid had it in her head that I always have money. Once in a while, I would go home with money when I couldn't give it to my boss. So that day, I didn't have any money. I didn't carry money home. All I had was 500,000. That was to take care of things. So the guys ask for money. I'm like, I don't have money. So I give them 100K, thinking maybe then they will go. They're like, don't play with us. They told us you have money. You have 2 million, and then your mother has some other money. Where is your mother's room? I'm like, she's not here. Please do not touch my mother. She's very hypertensive. You will hurt her, you will kill her, please. So they leave that, and then they're like, give us the money you have. We know you have money on you. They told us you have 2 million. So I'm like, I don't have money. This other guy who was behind enters and starts checking everything in the room, my bags. He throws them around and then he gets more money, which totaled 500K. So when he gets that money, this guy who was at the front is like, sleep and cover your head. And I'm like, no, I can't. And he's like, I will kill you. So in my mind, I'm like, I am going to die just like this. And no one, in my head, I was like, why isn't anyone hearing me? Like, we're all in the same house.
I'm wondering the same thing.
No one is hearing all this that is going on. No one is hearing the commotion. So I sleep, and then the next thing I feel was someone on top of me, and I'm begging. I'm like, please, and I'm praying to God. I'm like, please, you guys, please don't do this. Like, you have the money. Why don't you just take the money? It's all you came for. Please don't do this. So they didn't listen, and I just stayed in prayer. When they're done with that, the guy is like, do not make a sound. So as they were still in my room, the maid is coming out of her room. When she comes out of her room, these guys were also leaving. She's trying to say something. This first guy slaps her. So when he slaps her, this other guy tells him, why have you slapped her? She's part of us. And then I'm like so confused. I'm so worried. And when they leave the house, our maid runs to my mom's room. She's like, Charlotte, room here. And my mom and my brother come out. And all this while I'm wondering, why isn't anyone hearing me? Why isn't anyone coming out? So when they come out, I tell my mom, Mommy, take me to hospital. They raped me. My mom was all, you know how moms be, she went into prayer. She's like, what? And she's, speaking in tongues and all that. So I tell my brother, take me to hospital now. They drive me to Spanish Medical Care in Chisasi. We met the police on the wards we're going, and they tell us, do not bathe, do not wash up, just go to the hospital. They give you an injection, they give you pills, and yeah. So we reach the hospital, they give me PEP, they give me morning after pills, and then we go back home. The police guys are like, we shall come in the morning.
So what time was this about?
That was around 2-3 p.m. So we go home. Yeah, a.m., sorry. We go home with my brother and we sit and wait for the police. And they came at 10
a.m.
in the morning. So when they came, they had search dogs. They didn't find anything, but they got our statements and they got the maid's statement, which didn't tally to everything she had said and what she had said. And we got to police. They did a community search where they picked up all the eyed and disorderly people. And then they lined up. I had to point out the people that came closer to what the people looked like that entered the house.
Were you able to recognize them? No,
I was scared. Like every time they would put me in the line of all those people, my heart would just be so scared. I was shaking. I was telling the guys, I am scared to even go there. But I tried to explain like how I remember how they looked like. So later they found out one was an askari in the neighborhood, and the other guy, no one found out what he does, but they later realized the maid and this guy and some other guys had sat together and came up with a plan to rob us. Yes. So, yeah. So when all that was done, the next month these guys were released, and I saw them in the community. Before we even go to like court or what, I saw them in the community, and I'm like telling my sister is in police. I tell her these guys were released, and she's like, they couldn't hold them because there are no judges working, because that time I think the court guys were on break or were striking. So they're like, they couldn't hold them for that long because the most they can do is hold them for 2 days. And that's when the police remembered to take our blood tests. They took me to the police hospital where they have to check you, yeah. Which was also a very traumatic experience, because the guy that checks you is a guy, it's not a woman. Like that was that was a lot for me to take in. So I resorted to just doing me, just living my life, drinking and not caring what anyone says, and having a blast, using different things. And I was so good at hiding all these things no one realized, because I had no one to talk to about all that was going on in my head. I had no one to tell how I was feeling. So the best thing I could do was just go out with my friends, do all I want, come back home in the morning.
So these guys are still loose?
Yes, they are still out there. I see them. I see some of them out there, and I'm like, it's just so annoying that...
Aren't you afraid that they'll maybe attack you again?
I don't pass close to them because I don't want them to see me. If I see them before they have seen me, I always just take another route. Because they were in police, they would come back to revenge because, you know, as the reason they were locked up.
So you started a different kind of life. Your mother wasn't able to tell, your brother wasn't able to tell?
No one was able to tell. They knew I was going out, but they didn't know at what extent it had reached. Like, they didn't know I was using things. They didn't know why I was partying till morning. My mom got worried at a point. She started telling me, why are you doing this? You're risking your life. Why do you move at night? So I resorted to partying. When I go partying, I pack my clothes and sleep over wherever I want, and then come back to work in the morning.
How do you cope? I know that since then a bit has changed. How do you cope now to not go back into the drugs and the alcohol?
Well, I think it's the grace of God, because I really have no routine. I just have self-control. I'm like, no, I will not do this. I'm like, no, I'm not going to drink. No, I'm not going to smoke, and life goes on.
What was the point at which, the turning point at which you dropped the alcohol and the drugs?
After I lost the leg. After I lost the leg, I realized this can't be my life. This can't be how I go on after this. And my prayer was to find a purpose, which I found, to help others cope with whatever situation they're going through, to help sexual assault victims tell their stories to me if they can't come out. And it has really helped. I think sharing also has really helped me in coping and healing with whatever situation I was going through then. You
never got counseling?
No.
Did you get counseling after your leg was cut, after the amputation?
You can't call it counseling, but the doctors will be like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You know, we don't have psychosocial support in Ugandan hospitals. It's not there. That's why we started ASNO with Alex Munyambabazi.
Okay, Charlotte, we're going to take a short break, and maybe when we come back, we'll speak about what you're doing with yourself, but also what the future looks like for you and for this organization. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We're speaking to Charlotte Kangume from the Amputee Self-Help Network Uganda. Tell me about the network.
Well, Amputee Self-Help Network started with me asking Alex Munyambabazi. He has been an amputee for a really long time now. He lost his leg to a landmine in northern Uganda. So when we met, my friend met him somewhere in Buya and got his contact. He's like, I have this friend of mine, she lost her leg and blah, blah, blah.
You'd finally found the first person.
Yes.
The person you were looking for.
After, because when I was discharged, I was home for a week, and then I resumed work because I didn't want to stay home and be thinking of all these things. So I resumed work, and Alex met me at work with my bandaged wound and all. So when we met, I'm telling him my story. He was really excited to see how positive I was living. So I tell him, you know what? Why don't we just start an organization, just do something, because you have contacts of amputees who have been meeting you, who have been talking to you. And he said the idea had crossed his mind before, but he had just never gotten, like, you know, you always need that push to start. Yeah, so that's how it started. And we offer psychosocial support to amputees, and now we're starting to be inclusive to people with other disabilities. Yeah, and
Do you, for example, you know, go to hospitals and say, if you're going to cut someone's leg off, please call us so that we talk to
Yes.
them and give them a sense of, you know, what exactly you wanted.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do. And the fact that we are now online a lot, people's families call us. They're like, this person is in hospital, they lost their leg, like this and that.
Yeah.
So we always go there and meet them. We do home visits. We have small projects that we come up with to bring people in. We have peer support camps where we come up as amputees, and you know, it feels good when you meet other people like you. You feel like your family. And our last peer support camp was at Legends.
Mm-hmm.
It was really amazing. People were so happy. People left positive. Those who came when they were having a negative feel about themselves left when they were all positive and happy. And they're requesting for another one, which we are organizing. Yeah, so it's really been a good journey. It's really satisfying and fulfilling to be able to help other people live positively like you're doing. Yeah, and we assume we're going to have greater things coming up.
I think so.
Yeah.
But when you go to hospitals or when you meet a lot of people, amputees, what do you see as the biggest cause?
The biggest cause of amputation now, as per the visits we have had, are accidents. We have a lot of people who have been involved in border accidents, trucks, you know, those trucks that just lose control and go back. Yeah, a lot of those, more than the diabetes. And then there are people who recently, a lot of people lost their legs to police brutality. Yes, like when you move past curfew time and they were beaten up. We have really met a lot of people, but the most cases
So they were
are
beaten up
accidents.
to the point of, I mean, I know
Breaking
we've
the
had
leg and then he loses it.
Okay. What kind of are you putting out messages about, you know, maybe ways people can prevention? So, for example, you know, border accidents. You keep mentioning that's a big one. Have you found partners to work with to put out this information and just, you know, awareness, and this will happen to you? You really need to, yeah.
We recently started working with Hovita, which is an organization that supports road traffic accident victims with insurance and all, and also sensitizes people on road accidents and how to use the road. And we're working with Legs for Africa, which also helps us advocate for all these different things and also educate people on what to do and also help amputees. So it has really been helpful. It has been sponsoring our advocacy there. Yeah, we really do these things, and also our social media presence, telling people about the stories of amputees we have been in touch with and how they lost their limbs, has also been helpful.
What's been the hardest thing for you to do or to accept?
As an amputee?
Yes.
Well, the hardest thing is my leg, my prosthetic. I call it my leg, but my prosthetic. We get prosthetics, and prosthetics are really expensive in Uganda.
About how much is
they range depending where you get them from. You find a place sells it at 30M, find a place that sells it at 16
shillings.
million, yes. And Mlago has as low as 1 million. So it depends on where you get it and what type of leg it is, because there are different types. But they get spoiled. They get spoiled. Like mine it got broken, and then recently it also had a broken screw that I had to take it to hospital for repair, and the repairs are also expensive. They don't come cheap. Because like the time it got broken, the socket cracked as at CP Falls. I had to part with 150 for just that socket. That really puts me back, because when it breaks, you leave it at the hospital for some time, and if you don't have an extra one, you have to go back on crutches, which are also not very good for your health, because they affect your nerves under the armpits if you don't know how to use them, and they're tiring. Yeah. They're tiring, so they reduce on your workload. If you are really very active, when you go back on crutches, you kind of reduce a bit. You watch out what you do and all.
What's your life like right now?
Well, because of COVID, it's not so good, but as an organization, I'm very proud of where we have reached. I'm very proud of how far we have come and how many people have been able to help, and that people are starting to notice us, people are starting to know that we are there and we're really doing good work.
Okay.
Yes.
And as we close the show, what is your safety message for people who are watching or listening in to you share your story? What do you want them to sort of learn? Not maybe from your accident, because yours was not, somebody else, reversed the car, but what do you want them to learn for safety?
For safety, I want people to take more precaution when they're driving, when they are riding, when they are borders. This could be me today, but tomorrow it could be someone else, and losing your leg doesn't just come, you don't plan it. It comes abruptly. You cannot know when it will happen. Just be more careful out there, be more careful on the road. Even pedestrians should be more careful when they're crossing or when they're moving anywhere. For the amputees, please do not let your situation define you. You can have a much better life even when you've lost your leg.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of support does your organization need to go further than it's gone with reaching out to people in hospitals, in schools, and in homes? What do you need?
So as ASNU, we mainly need a lot of funding. We need more funding because right now our major fund has been Legs for Africa, which gives us a smaller amount of money to go on with advocating about amputation and sensitizing the community and reaching out to amputees in Kampala. We want to go further than Kampala because there are a lot more amputees outside Kampala.
Yeah.
When we have moved, we participated in a economy rally last year, and we met a lot more people outside. And then we set up a prosthetic fund that is supposed to help amputees get legs at a cheaper cost and also buy legs for those who can't afford. We had a walk to Ginger. Very many people participated, over 30 people participated. We were able to walk the Marira Forest because with our legs we can't really walk so far. So that's how the prosthetic fund started, and we want people to contribute to it because it would be helping someone out there. It has already helped a lot more people get prosthetics, get their life back, not to 100%, but to the normal.
Yeah, a semblance of normal.
Yes.
Where do they make that contribution?
We have an account that I do not recall, but I can share on social media. You can find it on our ASNU page or on any of our contacts. Alex Mnyambazi's contact that I can also share because I don't have it in my head, but also my contact is available.
Okay.
Which is 075 880 7298.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to close the show, but maybe a final word that you'd like to tell the people who are listening in. I'm just thinking about, I still don't understand how the maid is free and how those men are also free. So what would you like to say to whoever is listening, maybe even the police force, that the case just ended there? Nobody followed up after the courts opened up. What happened?
These are, well, because of the case stopped there, police kept asking us for money. We were like, you know what? My parents were like, let's just stop there, we shall just let God judge them. But to the community out there, all I request is do not treat anyone who has gone through such situations in a bad way, because we have a lot of stigma in communities. We have a lot of myths that go around such situations, that go around sexual assault, that go around amputation and being disabled.
What are the myths around sexual assault?
Well, people think you have like bad luck, all that, which is not right. And most times people think you brought it on yourself. You were dressed badly.
In your bed.
All these many things are very annoying and very absurd, that people do not realize this can happen to you anytime. We want the community to stop all that stigma. But we also need the government to sensitize people about all these issues. We need the government to come out and make sure these people are arrested and locked up for whatever crime they have committed. Because this affects the victim a lot more than anyone can think. But we also need counseling services to be available.
Have you gotten counseling since?
No, I haven't. I think I've self-counseled myself, which is very funny. But then, yeah, we need counseling services to be available everywhere, in hospitals, at police stations, because very many people are affected by this, and they're hiding in their shell because they do not know how to come out. Their families don't want to come out because of the shame that comes with saying, you know, my child was raped or assaulted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with us and coming all the way. I really appreciate that you did that for us, and it's been a pleasure having you once again to share your story with us. And I hope somebody has learned something from it or has gotten some sense of comfort from knowing that life can continue and that you can do something with yourself. And I hope that your organization gets the support that it needs. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Coming up is NTV Weekend Edition.